What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 9 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Settra, Great King, the Imperishable, Khemri, Kara, the Great King of Nehekara, King of Kings, Opener of the Way, Wielder of the Divine Flame, Punisher of Nomads, and many, many more campaign. So as we saw last time, Mr. Nakai was taken down by the combined arms of King Wakov and Hakor here, our sort of earliest army is there, other than Panat, of course, which started out as a follower army, but our first, I suppose, real armies, and are now moving on to fight the other Lizardmen. You can see that even with the mod now fixed, these armies were all built before the, or not the mod, but the game. All these armies were built before that, so it seems like the issue, whatever it was, never affected the Defenders of the Great Plan or Nakai, so that works. We'll try our best to vassalize these guys, though I can't guarantee it, simply because they don't like us very much because of all that war between us and them, and then the Leofrix Fellowship, though admittedly they declared war on us, and the Spirit of the Jungle. Ultimately, I would like somebody to actually inhabit all of these swamps around here, all these red territories that we don't care for, so hopefully these guys will come in handy for that particular purpose. But anyway, I digress. Let's see what we've got to do this turn. I believe we set up 3 ambushes all over the map. King Thutup, you're moving somewhere. Yes. We set up 3 ambushes all over the map, so I think as soon as we end the turn, there's a decent likelihood that, well, at least one of those succeeds. So I may as well get a move on and get to those ambushes. You can travel through the Charnel Valley. In Tef, try to get to Qatar, wherein we will eventually send an army to conquer it. We'll do it, guys, don't worry. It's not the biggest of priorities right now, especially since it doesn't give us Tomb Guard, it only gives us the Bright Shields, is it? What do you give us? Oh wait, you don't even... Yeah, unlocks the recruitment to the Bright Shields. So yeah, I don't really care that much about additional Skeleton Warrior units, although obviously the pile of extra heroes does help quite a bit. Anyway, I think that's all we gotta do and all we gotta move, right? I assume that it is, because we're gonna end the turn and see about some fighting. I would imagine this should at least happen. This guy will move here. If the ambush should fail, then they'll both attack Hakor, and he's gonna have a nice fight for him. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, it looks like Wakop at least succeeded with his ambush, and, well, that's gonna be good. Otherwise, the 3 Basties with Solar Engine would have been at least something of a problem for this army. We do have a lot of large units here, about half of the enemy army, so the Sepulchral Stalkers are gonna have to work overtime, though at the same time, admittedly, they pretty much always do. Before we get started, the engagement threshold for the long episodes and such remains 400 likes and 60 or 70 comments, and the next episode, yada yada yada, plus keep in mind that it'll determine the length the campaign. Now let's get to it. Alright, here we go. So begins the ambush. 1 volley from 5 units of Sepulchral Stalkers eats about 80% HP from a unit, from a Basti with Solar Engine, which is pretty darn good. And these guys are high rank, high veterancy, and are valuable targets, with the first, of course, falling to that second volley. Very nice. Looks like the other units are attempting to make their escape with that Saurus Old Blood booking it on out of there as fast as he can. We can try to slow them down as best as we can, with a Skull Storm to the face, while our Tomb Guard engage what Saurus units they can reach. Once again, I don't know, ambushes have always felt weird since they introduced this mechanic where the AI just sort of runs away instead of attempting to fight. I still kind of disagree with that decision myself, and that's one of the reasons why I tend to forego abusing ambush mechanics and just rarely use ambush because of it. But, you know, on occasion when you want to have the enemies move towards us rather than run away, it's still useful. Anyway, second Basti goes down. We're going to move forward with all of our range units and get ready to hose it down with our Sepulchral Stalkers once again. There we go. Certainly a devastating pile of units to have at the rear of your column. 1 more volley should bring down the 3rd Basti with Solar Engine, none of them having gotten off a shot, and though it does look like we are still very much in the fight with the enemy against the Saurus. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 units are escaping. remaining, so a little under half of their stack. Alright, well, let's just watch the rest of the engagement with the Saurus. Either way, a significant portion of the enemy army is destroyed, and it will be non-viable, so we'll just auto-resolve it as needed when needed. Looks like our Toonbark's taking a little bit of damage here. Gotta be a little bit careful, especially as a unit of Saurus has now moved up towards it, but we have no other units to spare at the time, as they're mostly attempting to just chase the other units down. So I'm just gonna leave the Toonbark here to take care of these guys, and hopefully it won't die. They are fairly fragile. Their melee defense is low, so we do have to be careful. And I believe there's effectively no way to actually upgrade them, at least not via text. We have some red line buffs, but otherwise no way to get them significant bonuses is what I'm getting at. Huh. I wonder if the Herald of... whichever Herald buffs the chariots will also buff the Toonbarks. That would be nice. And considering the way our tech is currently going, we'll be unlocking the other pseudo-legendary lords, the awakening the other dynasties rather soon, and thus we'll find out with the the other chariot lord, which will be interesting. I never have too many chariots after all. Anyway, the last Basti, this time with Arc of Sotek rather than Solar Engine, is booking it on out of there as well, and I don't know if we'll be able to bring it down, but I do know that the Saurus are nearly out of the picture. Walkup, of course, has been laying into the Saurus himself since the enemy lord ran away rather than face him in a duel, which, you know, does make sense. And it looks like the Saurus flee before him just as much. And Walkup's had 23 kills and no damage effectively, going to cut down a few more Saurus as they run away as well. But otherwise with that, the last of the enemies shatter and the battle is ours. Alright, a lovely little ambush, certainly a rarity for this army, but nice to have on occasion. Alright, there we go. I still find that sort of run away immediately behavior from the AI in ambushes kind of silly, but what can you do? What we can do is get 3.2k money for our trouble. The Sepulchral Stalkers did pretty darn well. The damage on anybody, I guess, isn't super high here, but they were able to knock out all three of the Basties, and with Solar Engine and nearly the Basti with Arc of Sotek, which just managed to escape at the end there. Otherwise, pretty okay. 26,000 damage on the Lich Priest as well for a Skull Storm, and yeah, solid amounts of cash. Endless March, let's see if anybody else gets an ambush. Alrighty, and this time we were discovered, and it's a close victory instead of an ambush. Hakor is gonna fight this one, I guess. Lots and lots of skink cohorts, which is not so great for the enemy, but mixing the skinks together with piles of Kroxigors makes sense from a loreful perspective, so I gotta appreciate that. Let's see how close of a victory this one is. Go. Alrighty, here we go. Big old pile of skinks and Kroxigors stand against us, though the enemy did make a mistake here in building a bunch of skink cohorts rather than javelin skinks, which would have made the army considerably more threatening. We're going to start the battle off with a nice little artillery bombardment, screaming skulls screaming down at the enemy below, and of course the Casket of Souls as well. The units of skinks should be fairly vulnerable to all of this, especially to that casket. There we go. Very, very nice shot. And I guess the leadership reductions could potentially be nice, forcing a few of the lower leadership units to rout. Anyway, the enemy will not just sit there and take it, as it will fire back, double hitting Hakor with the Basties with Solar Engine, which is pretty dangerous by the looks of it. I've definitely had a few lords and heroes nearly sniped in battles previous against the Tomb Kings, as those Solar Engines hit pretty darn hard. Ooh, I'd love to see a duel between a Solar Engine and a Bone Giant to see which one would be able to kill the other first. I'm gonna see if we can't make that happen later. For now, though, and also I would love to have some Solar Engines for some of our own armies. That would be really swell. Definitely one of the units I think that will fit nicely with the with our roster from the Lizardmen, and well, it's looking like it's going to be a possibility to get these guys as our vassals. So it should work out nicely. Anyway, looks like the enemy is now annoyed enough to start heading towards us. The skulls continue dropping down upon them, and so do the souls as well. And fair few do land just short of the enemy rather than into the sort of blob there. But I guess it's sort of the sort of staggered stop and move type movement that the enemy is currently engaged in. So perhaps shouldn't be all that surprising. Alrighty, and yeah, those besties with solar engines are going to hit back soon, so we're probably going to switch at least some units to going after them, but on the other hand, we can always just move towards them as well. And gotta remember that the Hawk Legion of Settra is now moving at 63 move speed, which is pretty darn solid, and these guys can engage in combat extremely quickly. Comparatively, they're twice as fast as Saurus, and while they're faster than Skink Skirmishers at least, so they could even run them down. Even if not a crazy amount faster. The enemy is blobbed up nicely while dodging our artillery, and thus it's a good opportunity to get another Skullstorm in their faces while we start moving the rest of our units. The Doom Dervishes, ghostly as they are, advance together with that Tomb Bark, with a sort of ghostly glow that it's got going on as it hovers overhead. If we can vassalize maybe Vlad or something, maybe we can get a... oh, actually, wait, no, the Barrow Legion. I remember thinking about this early in the game. Barrow Legion's a better option than Vlad, because if we vassalize Vlad, then, you know, Karl and other factions nearby would probably not be super happy about it. Vlad's a little bit more hated by all those units around, but the proximity of the Barrow Legion to mostly other factions could potentially play in our favor. Assuming that they're doing reasonably well over there. Anyway, the Saurus and the Skinks have closed the distance with our main line, and it's a big old brawl, though by the looks of it, it won't last too much longer. The bounce power has shifted to about 70%, maybe 75% in our favor. Trying to peel the Necrosphinx away as it keeps getting distracted fighting the little guys instead of going for the big boys. I do wish that you could sort of tell it to keep going for a specific unit, because I've reordered it to attack one of these guys like a dozen times now, and it just keeps getting distracted by all the sort of hands fighting below. Shabti unit has cornered the enemy lord here. Usually we might send the Necrosphinx at it to, and dish out lots of that single target damage, but these guys should be able to keep it in place while we destroy the rest of the enemy army. Nowhere near that Realm of Souls activation by the looks of it, and over on the right flank we are taking a little bit of damage to our Shabti as they're fighting the Kroxigors, but only a little bit of damage and not one has gone down there. Ooh, does look like the Corsand Corsairs have taken a bit of hurt though, but they are sort of beneath a pile of dinos, as in two big dinos and a Kroxigor unit, so it does make sense why they're the ones that have taken the most hurt. On the bright side, it looks like we've cut through, or at least forced to rout most of the little units. And thus the Necrosphinx is able to close the distance with the big boys, whether it be the Kroxigors or the Dinos, and start taking them out. Plus, I'm sure that crippled application, the reduction of the enemy mass on top of the melee defense reduction, helps all of the units below dish out a little bit of damage as well. Bring down these solar engines, and soon, hopefully, they will be a part of our armies. Ark of Sotek. Oh, if we could get maybe a couple of Arks of Sotek into Kalida's army, or sort of an adjacent army possibly, and you just summon a pile of snakes everywhere. It might be nice. Coatl are flying snakes, that would work as well in theory. Though I don't know whether these guys can actually build Coatl, because they have a limitation on the sort of structures that they can have, but they can build Arks of Sotek and solar engines, which we are definitely going to want. Maybe even throw a few skinks of some types in some army. But anyway, it looks like the last of the units of Kroxigors is done for. The enemy lord is still in the fight, but I'd wager not for much longer. And, yeah, man. The Basti with solar engine, two Basties with solar engines are still in the fight. With only a single Necrosphinx, it does look like it takes a fair bit of effort to bring these guys down. Alrighty, and the Necrosphinx sends the Kroxigors packing, the Lord and the Basties rout, and it looks like with that... Oh, actually, the Lord did not rout, what the heck? Oh, the army routed, but the Lord is unbreakable. Fair enough, he won't be unbreakable for too long. There we go, whether it be an Ushabti Kopish or a Necrosphinx, I don't know, arm dagger, I still don't know what to call these things, but he is going to be torn to shreds soon. Damn, reached his healing cap too, pretty good. Gotta love that regen on these guys, certainly makes them more difficult to fight. I love how the Ushabti advance forward with their Kopishes like this, pretty neat. And just getting ready to swing them down. Anyway, come on, somebody bring this frickin' Saurus down. 861 HP. If you keep missing hits, he's just gonna regenerate again. He's very much surrounded, but I think the mass of our units is causing the problems of, you know, pushing him forward, which is not allowing some of the other units to swing. At last, however, he does get brought down, and thus, the battle is ours. Very nice. Alright, there we go. The enemy certainly gave us a fight there, and I noticed once again that just like last episode, all the defenders of the Great Plan units seem to have regeneration on them. Now, if anybody knows, is that something that the defenders of the Great Plan always had on all their units, and just something I never knew about, and apparently didn't notice when I played Nikai, or is that something new? Because it certainly makes these particular lizards considerably tougher. Either way, we're in our own territory, so I think we're free to end this march and take the cash. Also, let's see how we did here with the Coarse Sand Corsairs and Dead Ark Corsairs are roughly even with each other in terms of their damage dealt. Solid work out of the Dune Dervishes at 17,000 damage. And a Hekaran Horseman, apparently unnamed. Necrosphinx did 13,000 damage, but had a lot of damage dealt as gold value, because obviously it was hunting Kroxigors and dinos and such. Casket, as always, fantastic. And Skull Catapult's pretty solid as well. Decent time was had by all. Endless march. And there we go, there's another, and the remnants of this army come back, and do we need to fight this again? It's effectively, I mean, we could. I'm not as interested in fighting the same battle again, essentially, here. And we would be able to, let's see, lose out on a little bit of casualties, but let's face it, we already know we'd win. This army is severely damaged, and this army is kind of weaker than the first army was due to the significant lack of Kroxigors and such. I think we'll just auto-resolve here quick too, or not. But we'll take the healing here just in case there's another one. I doubt it, but why risk it? Alright, and yet another ambush. These ambushes are really working out for us in this particular episode. I don't think I've had that many ambushes succeed in a single time ever. We will fight this, I think. We skipped that one. We're pretty darn damaged here, so if the enemy actually turns and chooses to fight us, we are liable to get a little bit of hurt on us, so why not? Obviously, it's a decisive victory and no casualties because of the settlement garrison, but considering these guys will just flee off the battlefield, these guys won't arrive in time to help anyway, so really it's just Khalid's heavily damaged army against this. Should be fun. Go. Alrighty, here we go, another ambush, and this time with Khalida actually leading it. Should work out pretty well in our favor, I'd wager. We are going to start doing devastating amounts of damage to the enemy army pretty immediately. All of our range units, the Chosen of the Gods, the Casket, everything, is going to fire into the blobs, or blobbiest sections of the enemies. while we essentially separate the enemy lord and the head of the enemy column with a skull storm. This will not only do damage, but will also prevent the majority of the enemy army from moving forward and out to where it can attempt to escape. The snakes give a big old charge, and a new unit of snakes join them as we summon a unit of sacral serpents with the with Khalida's ability. What are the stats on these guys like? Let's see, 40 and 20, so they have very little melee defense, but that's alright. They're a summoned unit, so we don't really care if they die, and free snakes is always nice to have. Alright, looks like a few of them are going to start getting brought down by the halberds, but they are distracting enemy units, and that does mean more range fire coming down on the poor Imperials below. Alright, very, very nice. Well, Khalida has peeled away to move towards the enemy lord and is probably going to engage in a duel with him. At least some of the enemies have attempted to close the distance with our melee line. Great swords are in a fight with Nekesh's Scorpion Legion and a few of the other units of skeleton spears, and of course these spears have no chance of doing really anything against the great swords, but they're just there to pin them in place. All the other units will be destroyed, and maybe even these guys brought down by the archers that we have here. Now, I wonder, is the Legion of the Asp a unique unit to Khalida, or is it just buildable out of Lamia, maybe? Because we can't build it out of Libaras. It would be nice to be able to recruit them. And where the heck do we recruit the Krokagar Legion? Because there's two different additional skeleton archer units. And it's just that the regular archers seem kind of useless and unnecessary when you have skeleton horse archers. Generally speaking, because they'll just straight up perform considerably better. Anyway, not that that matters for this particular battle, as the enemy lord is defeated, and one more hit will probably bring him down. There we... Oh my lord. He did not have a good day. Losing his top half to a swing from Khalida's Venom Staff. There we go. Otherwise, the rest of the enemy army is pretty much destroyed, and we'll make sure to use the reinforcements now to maybe get a few extra chase downs as we can. They were nearby after all, might as well make use of them. Ooh, a Lichbone Pennant. Very, very nice pickup. I wonder if we have magical damage on the Venom Knights of Vassal, because if we don't, they could certainly use it. Otherwise, a pretty darn effective ambush. One unit of halberdiers lives to tell the tale, but otherwise, the entire enemy army was obliterated. With the range firepower that we had there, and the enemy being made up of primarily infantry, it was just never going to go well for them. We're in our own territory, so I imagine we're free to endless march, though I do... I wonder how much HP we actually have, because we're not in healing stance, are we? Even if we... Oh, and we're in yellow territory as well, so we wouldn't be healing that. But yeah, you know what? I think we have to heal, much as I'd love the 3k. Alrighty, Walkov has an Extinguished Phoenix Pinion. We'll replace that with something better, and a Ruby Ring of Ruin. These two provide flaming attacks now, so they're a little bit better than they were, though I am kind of tempted to just replace it and the Phoenix Pinion, admittedly. But we'll see about that later. For now, there's that Lichbone Pennant, Reptilian Ravager, attack-minded, and... looks like that's it. Alright, Proclamation of the 5th Dynasty, complete construction reduction, a little bit of income from income buildings, always nice. We got 3 turns on this now, so let's go for Patronage of the 5th Dynasty. Hopefully that'll get it down to 2 turns, then one of these will take it down to 1, and then a new army will come up. And that's lovely. Otherwise, Hakor, I guess you're proceeding to Shrunken Head's Idol, can't be letting them have the landmarks once again, so proceed. Probably should have started from the top, but I'm... what do we have here? Huh, is this the remnants? Oh, damn, these guys have a lot of armies, don't they? Oh, and we wouldn't be able to auto-resolve this if these guys are sticking around, eh? We could besiege it also and force them into an actual attack on us. But it might be better to just fight this. Anyway, what are we missing here? You don't have Canopic Jar Hoarder. You have all of this stuff. There's more redline stuff that you need, but otherwise... you have the most important stuff. We could get Useks, but we pretty much use Skullstorm whenever it's on cooldown. We don't have enough mana to really cast both, generally speaking. Maybe we should go to 5th Gen Priest first, get a little bit of use out of that, research rate. Plus, this takes us all the way to Arcane Conduit, so there is a decent excuse to be made for that. You, I guess, can have increased mobility for now, until we finally replace you with the guy I want. Speaking of, here comes an Necrotect check, and it's another Genius Architect, which is fine in the sense that we're going to pop him into Khalid's army, but not fine in the sense that it wasn't the guy I wanted. And, another army. Yeah, but it's a rather weak one. Khalid, how's the healing? It looks pretty good now. Lovely. And we got this guy researching for you. Necrotect. Wait, Tomb Princes can be wise? I did not know that. Huh. That makes them a lot more useful than they were. This is the first time I'm seeing a wise one. Character experience gain plus 20% for accompanying a lord. That alone is quite worth it. Huh. Finally a useful Tomb Prince. Honestly, I'm gonna get this guy up and running right now. We'll pop him into Khalid's army just to help train her up with a little bit of extra XP. We'll grab his Genius Architect as well. Like so. Alrighty, and then you two can both obviously grab Canopic Jar Hoarder, and you might as well get training since you're new. Missile Resistance and Embalmed and Elixir. Yeah, why not? 1, 2, and then we'll maybe save points for going through Tough as Nails into Esteemed Combatant. Not that it's super necessary or anything like that. And then what about you? Obviously Canopic Jar Hoarder, and obviously Restore, Stone Shaper, and Wrath of the Creator. Beautiful. Alright, now let's start from the top this time. Settra. If he had one of those Tomb Princes as one of his, he'd probably be level 50 by now, but yeah, no. Anyway, Settra, keep on going through all of these territories. How are we for growth here? 3 more turns? Looking good. Gotta get this up to the final tier so we could trade it to them for the Cursed Way and then give them all of the mountains. I think that'll work out nice. And this guy didn't fall for the ambush, I guess, because he couldn't move this far, but it'll be the debut battle for these guys soon. Where the heck is Kugath? And we saw him and several other lords moving around out here with whoever he was fighting. Are we in range of these guys yet? No. I want to get in range of Kotep. I want to see if a regular confederation is available or whether we... Who's the mission here? Dagobert or Roxburger? Oh, this guy's still all the way back there. Gotta complete that mission. Which we will. Panet, are you able to reach anything? You are just able to reach Mahara. So I guess that's where you're going. There's nobody there, but it is a tier 4. Is this worth fighting, is the question. Wait, does it have a defensive structure? It does not. Close victory, medium casualties. I mean, it's not a bad garrison. Let me think about this. I hope I don't forget, as I have a bad tendency to, but I want to see what other options we have for this particular turn and, you know, general fighting. You need to finish up with Amatigan, the units that escaped that ambush. Auto-resolve. This better not severely damage us. Don't do it, game. Don't you do... okay. Heal up, I guess. Increase the healing over the next turn, and then Galbaraz is well defended, plus the remnants of this army. I could probably still fight, but maybe it's just more efficient to heal. I mean, we could cut our way through all of them slowly but surely. And yeah, they do all have regen here as well, which is interesting. Willing to peace out now? 48, eh? They really want peace now. We could immediately vassalize them if we wanted to, but we can't right now because we gotta give them the... We gotta get all these idols. I wish I could see... You know what? Do we have another scout available? I kind of want to see what's going on up here. How many territories they hold in these hills? Oh, basically the entirety of the hills. I guess the question is, how much do we care about holding the hills? They are green territory. And they do kind of provide a pathway through these hills towards these swamps that we want these guys to continue occupying. At the end of the day, there are more swamps up here, and we could always just trade it to them maybe for these territories. I'm just wondering whether we could, you know, peace out and vassalize them quicker, because if we do this, Swamp of Terror, we could pretty much immediately get the vassalage going. Which would be nice. But maybe we knock out a few more armies. We definitely want the Volka's Roost as well, the Shrunken Head's Idol. We probably want to be able to take Galbaraz in order to trade it back to them for something. Though we might have to build it up. But anyway, let's leave these guys where they are for now. I gotta think about this. Rakash, do I have to think about what you're doing? Sort of. You are going to proceed to the Great Pyramid of Settra, where you will use your construction cost reduction to build a cheaper necropolis and get that tier 5 up and running. Then you're going to go here to the Pyramid of Nagash, wherein you will take the opportunity to quickly recruit the Sepulchrex for the army that will have it. Huh. Is there anybody we can kick out of this army? I mean, the Nehekarn horsemen are decently leveled. I'm just kind of tempted to take the opportunity to construct at least one more Hierro Titan. We could also kick out one of the Tomb Guards, so we'd have to rebuild them. The Nehekarn horsemen can at least be built at tier 1. Or in one turn, rather. Carrion are tier 4. These guys have been with us for a long time. They're both named, though, so I don't think I can get rid of them. Alright, fine. We'll get rid of one of you. We'll need more Hierro Titans for several armies anyway, so... And we'll need more capacity for Hierro Titans for several armies. Anyway, fuck them. Okay, these guys are all fighting. I just want to make sure we know where everybody's going. You will continue passing through the Ogrish territories. They're not attacking us, as yet. We will probably attack them later, but for now, just keep trespassing. I don't really care. Khalida, you're going to fight, man. We have like, this is going to be a very battle-heavy episode. I expect we won't get through too many turns today, but oh well. Sometimes it happens. We're suddenly in a lot of wars after all, so... Just gotta deal with it. Oh, there's Elf 10. No, stop it. Well, actually move up this way, maybe find Athel Lauren. These guys. Trade? Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you. That'll provide us a nice, well, not much gold, but, you know, Tomb Kings and all. Every bit counts. And Xandrian Guardians of the Valley want to trade. Oh, I wish I could confederate you in some other way, but whatever. Instead of destroying you in order to take your territory, but we need to hold both of those pyramids, so what can you do? Intef, you keep going through the Charnel Valley, and as soon as you're done moving, then we're gonna do a fight. Alright, so from the top, who is gonna be fighting today? Alright, so Panet, do we want to fight at Mahara with you? They have knights, but it's mostly peasants. Admittedly, they'll have little chance here. This one I'm on the fence about, considering the other fights, so we would have to fight. But I do like watching those Hierro Titans go to work. I will continue thinking about this one. Hackor. Alright, I guess we gotta fight this one because there's another lizard army nearby, right? Oh, can you go into Great Dynasty stance so you can heal up more over the end turn? Yes, you can. Yeah, alright, fine. Let's hack our way through some lizards, go. Alrighty, here we go. Gotta lock down all these barrier idols. Fortunately, I do like this particular minor settlement map and fighting in it. This particular greenskin map in particular. And the reason for it being, there's like, I don't know, there's like 8 different entrances into the city. And unlike many maps where it feels like, well, it's probably the most advantageous to attack in one particular location, I think I've attacked this one from every single possible side. I use this one the most, but generally speaking, use as a lot of them, and just for fun. And definitely it doesn't feel like you're hurting yourself too much if you attack from a different side than what feels like at the time the most optimal. It does depend on the amount of artillery you have though, because some sides will have more obstructions than the rest, but nonetheless. I digress. The unit Necrosphinx moves forward and begins to fight the enemy Croxagores, and I'm going to start cutting them down with the high alpha strike damage available to the Necrosphinx, hopefully actually delete units. Again, we have to contend with that regeneration on the enemy units. And we don't have a crazy amount of anti-large in this particular army. In fact, other than the Necrosphinx, we technically don't really have any anti-large whatsoever. The Ushabti are anti-infantry. They can sort of fight other monstrous infantry, but they'd lose against the Croxagore unit in a direct contest, I think, so better to let them, you know, mince infantry instead. I think they can deliver just as much damage as the Croxagores can, but they can't tank as much, which would be their problem in that particular contest. Anyway, the Necrosphinx continues to put in the work. The 4 out of the 16 Croxagores have died, and they are starting to lose HP, but more Croxagores have closed the distance, and our skeleton warriors, or Nehekar warriors rather, together with Ushabti, are just going to have to do their best to hold them back while the Necrosphinx is busy. And yes, in theory, it would be, we could strengthen the army by putting more Necrosphinxes in, but I don't know if we should. The only way I would do that is probably to replace the Screaming Skull catapults and the Casket of Souls and put them in a different army. They do work decently well here. It's just that the rest of the army is built around high mobility. But I don't dislike what we've got going here, minus the fact that we kind of have to use the Golden Host of Mahrok unit, the tankiest unit that we have here, sort of in the back line. And just to protect the artillery pieces. Whereas a less mobile army wouldn't really care so much about that, so there is potential for adjustment later, if we need to. We'd have the ability, if we were to take out all 3 of the artillery pieces, put in at least 1 more Necrosphinx, maybe another Tomb Bark, and maybe another hero. And just because I wouldn't want to overdo it either. Anyway, what we don't really have in this particular army is too much in the way of anti-air, so we have been focusing down this unit of Pterodon Riders with both of the Screaming Skull catapults for like 2 minutes straight. And they did eventually bring them down, but it took a long time. If the enemy had been smart enough to move those Pterodon Riders instead to fight our artillery, like hover over them and attack them, and they probably would have been able to kill them, or at least force us to, you know, sort of move them off screen. With that said, we are just going to make our way further into the enemy settlement. Ooh, decent damage on the Lich High Priest from the Pterodon Riders and such. He's going to hit them back, however, with a nice little Skull Storm, which will delete a unit of Skink cohorts. While we head directly for this barricade. Had to wait there until the Skull Storm was up, since we didn't want to be close to it here where our own our own Hekaran warriors would have taken the damage. Alright, well, we're just going to have to break on through. 2,000 HP remaining on that platform. Fortunately, with the Necrosphinx here, it should go down reasonably quick, and there it goes. Although the enemy was able to fire over the platform and hit the Necrosphinx. There we go, cut them down. Never get tired of watching Necrosphinxes work. And I think because of the arm blades, they're more entertaining to watch than the Khemrian War Sphinx. Oh, the Khemrian War Sphinxes do have that bounding attack, which is also really fun, but you gotta be prepared for it, sort of be like more away from the unit, as it'll just bound into the screen and you'll miss the fun. Alrighty, anyway. What do we got here, bounce power-wise? 70%, 75% maybe, but the enemy still has a fair few units milling around within their settlement. They should really probably reinforce what they've got going here. But if they're not gonna, we'll take the opportunity to move towards this minor supply location and capture this shooting tower so that we... there we go. So that we don't have to deal with this particular shooting tower, yes. We could, in theory, knock it out with the artillery, but we really need them to knock out those Pterodon Riders, as otherwise they'll keep dishing out damage to us. And there we go. Ushapti, the Tomb Bark, and the Necrosphinx have closed the distance and pretty much destroyed this unit of Skinks. The tower has obviously fallen with the key building or key point captured. Now it does look like some of the units of Kroxigors, more units of Kroxigors have made their way forward. That said, we'll block the other units moving in by stopping them with a Skull Storm. Of course, all the vortexes provide that speed reduction, and then hitting them hard with our artillery. Trying to do as much damage to the enemy range as possible, since they've been trying to hose down the Necrosphinx and the Tomb Bark with the poison blow darts. Yeah, I figure in the Construct armies, the Tomb Barks will also come in fairly handy. They can't be healed in that manner, as in they are not constructs, but it should still be useful. I wonder if these guys can build Pterodon Riders, whether it be Fire Leech Bolas or regular, because Tomb Kings basically have no air force whatsoever. I really wanted to get some Cathayan Lanterns, but the main issue with them is that we don't really have any way to protect them if the enemy has, like, for example, a flying hero. Any vampire, any Empire captain, whatever, can just fly on up there, and we would have absolutely nothing we could do to stop them from bringing down any of the lanterns. There's no way a unit of Carrion, which are super fragile, would be able to threaten them, even if we surrounded them. So we couldn't really protect them. Though I do think the sort of vision of the Carrion flying around together with the Sky Lanterns would be pretty neat. But if we were able to get a couple of Pterodon Riders, we'd at least have a little bit of additional range recourse. I guess I'll probably try the carrion thing, and I probably will just for fun. Once we have enough necrotechs on field and sort of buffing up all carrion by giving them additional armor-piercing weapon damage, with sufficient numbers, they might be strong enough to actually, you know, surround and kill off a single enemy hero. Probably not a lord, though, like not somebody on like a griffin or something, though that would be more vulnerable to our missile fire, so we should be able to deal with that a lot easier. Anyway, I'm going to close the distance with the Nehekarn horsemen and the Storm Riders of Xar. Looks like some of the enemies attempted to escape, and a unit of Razor Dawns attempted to reposition itself to fire probably once again at our Tombbark and our Necrosphinx. Fortunately, the cab was not needed so far in this battle, so they were waiting and ready, or ready and waiting, whatever, to deal with the enemy. And look at those skinks go flying. The Storm Riders of Xar have 145 move speed. Okay, if I could just find them in here. Regular Nehekara, there is. Storm Riders of Xar 123 minus 26 because of the minus. Yeah, so nearly 150 move speed, which is pretty darn crazy. They are obviously still fragile, like any Nehekarn horsemen are, as compared to, you know, Necropolis Knights, Light Cav and all that, but still pretty solid. Anyway, we continue to advance. It is taking a fairly long time, 9 minutes now, to cut our way through all the lizards, but they are certainly giving us a fight, so I'm pretty happy about that. The regen I should say, keeping them in the fight, but it looks like the rest of them realize that they have no hope here. The regen will not be enough to hold, and the battle is ours. Very nice. Alright, there we go. Once again, that regen really making it take much longer to work our way through these lizards, especially regen on Kroxigors is really nasty, with the enemy army not even in need of a revivification crystal. Occupy. Giving us the Shrunken Head Idol on another landmark location. We stopped to grab Volka's Roost. These guys are... it actually went down by 2, so... This is a minus 10 to become vassal now, which wouldn't work. If we were to join the war against Volkaz and pay you money, no, it wouldn't work either. You have to increase the likelihood of that happening, but I guess it lowers also with the relationship dropping. I'd like to combine the plus 48 with the with what we've got, but... Galbaraz, probably not worth a crazy amount to them. It'll probably drop as well if we take Galbaraz. We could use that to peace out with them, but there's no guarantee then that they would be willing to vassalize for the Swamp of Terror. Or we could just wait for the Volka's Roost as well. Certainly something that bears thinking about. For now, build a Mastaba here. And you... what do we want to do here? Oh, it's tier 3. Yeah, all right. You know what? We want to get the obelisks up and running for the public order, just so that we can quickly get up to max, so that we have the construction reduction, as in the timing. I guess we could temporarily build a mortuary house, because we can't build a fated pyramidion anyway. And you know what? Yeah, let's do a round of building here, shall we? Before we fight some more. There is more fighting to be done, though. Okay, we're ignoring City of Kings other than the new crumbling temple here, which needs to be joined by a undead quarryman. Land of the Dead, yes to the Springs of Eternal Life, please. That's going to be expensive. A Necropolis of Xandri, yes to the refurbished workshop and the Golden Age monument, but we're waiting to build a treasure tomb here, and I don't know whether we'll have enough money to do it right now. Memorial Nexus, Marble Monolith, and I guess we'll upgrade you to tier 3 rather than build one here. Yeah, why not? Why not? And then you can be deleted eventually, but for now, until we replace you with a Pyramidion, you're fine. I'm surprised that these guys didn't attack the Palace of the Scholar Kings, but still, we'll probably forego building anything there as yet. Amsu's Charge. Now, you have the critical building of the Royal Burial Chamber. We want the other critical building, which is the Revered Mausoleum. Until you're tier 5, it won't give us the capacities we want, but we will want these up and running, generally speaking, just so that we don't have to build capacities everywhere. Alright, and frankly the Ushabti building isn't going to serve too much purpose here either, which should be replaced with either more of these buildings. Oh, we'll probably want the Hidden Sanctum everywhere as well. Character experience gain plus 50 per turn is something. Yeah, we can start on one of those. And then here we'll build three of the main military structures. Carrion Nest, are you now far enough from the enemy to... Well, I want to delete the Tower of Bone, but I don't think we're there yet. We will be there eventually, and you, in the meantime, can actually build the Royal Burial Chamber. Expensive, insanely expensive though it may be, as we need the additional canopic jars. And I think that's about it. I mean, we could upgrade this place, Wadi El Taif. And there's probably, alright, some of the newer territories that aren't yet collecting income, but eventually will be. Upgrade you to Mastaba. We no longer, I think, need the Charnel Plaza here, though. East Barrier Idols, yeah, we can upgrade the Great Idol of Mork to be renamed. We'll rename them all after all the idols after we've dealt with them. Pretty sure that yeah. So we have Obelisk of Walatpa, and then probably Obelisk of wait, that's the one I just checked. Joff's Column, so we can do Great Idol of Walat, Idol of Joff, etc., etc., etc. And that makes sense. Numas, yes, you. We're going to delete all of your obelisks eventually, but eventually is not now. We will want to keep upgrading the Mortuary Sanctum. I guess we could build one here too, right? There's no port or anything in the way. Go for this. We'll get one more turn of the obelisks, which will put us up to maximum control, or at least close to it, at which point we'll delete the obelisks, and... Actually, we can delete this one right now, I think. And start building this thing much faster next turn. Alrighty, that basically used up all our money, which I kind of wasn't expecting, but, you know. Anyway, fuck them. Time to get your debut battle with your Scorpions against Urkathau, who will run, I'm sure. Who will not run. Pyrrhic Victory. Man, the auto-resolve really favors the Nurglites. Admittedly, this is a new untested army. We have no red line buffs to buff everybody up, but we should still be pretty good. Go. Alrighty, here we go. We march? Well, not really. We kind of sit here while the range units begin their bombardment. Should be pretty darn effective, though, I'd wager, as we do have a lot of range in this army, and a significant amount of damage that we can dish out. Plus, I'm glad for a little bit more variety in this episode. We've been fighting a lot of Imperials, and, well, now we've been fighting a lot of Lizards. We're kind of in the sort of Lizardmen era of the campaign as we turn towards fighting Lizard stack after Lizard stack after Lizard stack. But all with the notion of vassalizing them as soon as we can. Anyway, our Bone Giants, or one of the Bone Giants, is going to try to focus down one of those Plague Ogres, and by the looks of it, a single Bone Giant is really good at that, knocking down half of the Plague Ogres already. In the meantime, we have targeted all of our Screaming Skull Catapults, specifically at the Exalted Plague Bearers of Nurgle. I don't know whether they can actually do sufficient damage to them to threaten them a lot. They're kind of just milling around dodging shots, but this still serves our purpose, as that's keeping the Exalted units away from the rest of the blob, which is advancing towards our main line. Looks like the Plague Ogres are nearly done for as the Bone Giants continue to snipe them, and the rest of the enemy army advances, so we're moving to get ready to meet them with Scorpion and Tomb Guard alike. Oh yeah, I gotta get more Bone Giants on the field. You gotta love watching these guys too. Alright, and here we go, the arrival of the first demonic units. The Nurglings roll down the hill, followed by the dour Plague Bearers and the, I don't know, probably significantly more jolly Beasts of Nurgle. Alright, fortunately, this army, I think, works fairly well in what we've got. Aside from the decent pile of artillery, we have the Scorpions to do anti-infantry damage, which they can do a fair bit of, and which we will actually increase significantly later on when we get the Herald of the Scorpion in here. But also, the Tomb Guard take care of the anti-large, or did I already say that? I don't know. But it's a good combo is what I'm getting at. And the enemy is obviously going to have a very difficult time pinning down any of these Scorpions because of that sort of burrow into the ground and move forward animation they have. And against the more fragile enemy units, or low damage dealing enemy units like the Nurglings, we could just pin a Scorpion in place. Or rather, we could just leave the Scorpion there, and they're not going to be able to do enough armor-piercing damage to be of concern to the thing, while it snips them apart. Alright, and with the Nurglings having relatively low stats, even the Tomb Guard with Halberds with their pathetic 40 melee attack are not going to be too inconvenienced here. Not to worry though, of course, the attack should arise with the techs and veterancy and all that. So these guys will eventually be hitting hard enough, or at the very least, if not hitting hard enough, as that's weapon strength, they should be at least hitting. Anyway, announce power has shifted to about 85, maybe even closing in on 90% in our favor. The lack of magical damage does mean that it's taking a little bit of a while, but it's essentially two tanky armies facing off against each other. We've got extremely tanky Scorpions and the line holding Tomb Guard with Halberds, and they've got those Plague Bearers, which have like 22,000 HP at max. Something crazy. 21,000 HP. And of course, that HP goes up with the Locus of Fecundity and whatever they use to heal them. They can't heal them forever. Eventually, their numbers will run out. And of course, the scariest units, the Exalted Plague Bearers, are still dodging those shots from the Screaming Skull Catapults, and are now also dodging the shots from the Bone Giants. There we go. We can, whiff on that arrow, but oh well. We can get more mileage out of the Bone Giants later on, as well, as we are going to be upgrading them with their techs, which will increase their splash damage power and give them that ammunition re-up ability, so they'll be able to essentially re-ammo the Screaming Skull Catapults in this army, which should be pretty useful. Anyway, the enemy army has begun to melt away. They have stood no chance of breaking through our lines here, and the damage dealt has been comparatively little, and despite the lack of heals. But we had to get a proper debut against this army. Oh, I wonder how this army would fare against Kugath if he comes down this way. Would the Bone Giants be able to bring him down from a distance, or would he out-heal their damage? Certainly an interesting proposition, and either way, we've got a few more units to take care of. It is slow work, as the Nurglings may be weak, but they'll still tar pit our units. And just gotta work through what numbers of them remain. Maybe we should have sent one of the Tombbarks down here instead, out of the main, rather than the main line, just for the additional little bit of help from the magical damage, as well as those Khemri beetles. But all good. Looks like the Nurglings melt away at last, and the only things remaining on field are a few units of Plague Bearers. And then there was one, the Festering Stooges Regiment of Renown, which has run the furthest amount away from all of our artillery fire. It served little to no purpose, however, as they probably would have taken less damage by simply advancing towards us rather than dodging the fire. It did, I suppose, keep our artillery pieces busy, but, well, it kept the Festering Stooges even busier and taking damage. And hey, the Festering Stooges and the other Plague Bearers, Exalted Plague Bearers I should say, with their special ranged attack, might have actually been able to cause some severe damage to those Tomb Scorpions, at least on occasion. Again, with the Burrow ability, the Scorpions have a tendency to dodge fire kind of accidentally. But anyway, with that, the battle comes to a close. Great work from pretty much every unit in the army. It looks like this composition is pretty nice, and I think no further adjustments are needed. Alrighty, there we go. I'm just laughing about Foktem's name, but anyway. Great battle, great debut for the Scorpions, with Scorpion... Death from Below getting the most kills at 14,000 damage. 14,000 most kills and most damage. This one was on the left flank that was fighting several units of Nurglings, which explains why I did a little bit more damage than the others, which had to compete for kills and for damage. Great work out of the Bone Giants, of course. I absolutely adore Bone Giants, and unsurprisingly, I really loved using them in my Manfred campaign in combination with some of the other units, but anyway. Yeah, maybe we should actually... I have some thoughts about Khalida's army and these guys, because Khalida gives the army snipe. We could, in theory, get a bunch of Bone Giants, give them all snipe for, you know, so that hilarity ensues. Anyway, we'll see. I kind of don't necessarily want to repeat the exact same kind of just snake army and archer, snakes and archers army that Khalida did before. I'll think about it. Anyway, I continue to think about it. Yeah, the battle went well, is what I'm getting. That was a pretty fun one at that. Anyway, we will take the money, because there is no need for healing, since we took so little damage, contrary to what the auto-resolve was saying with that Pyrrhic Victory nonsense. Oh, let me guess. Now that we chase them, they've got a little bit of Demon's Reforge, and will do more damage than the actual fight did. Is that what's going to happen, game? It is, isn't it? Let's find out. Actually, that wasn't so bad. Alright, let's do, I guess, Endless March, more a turn, or more movement range. It's all great. Here we'll want to go into raiding stance, or Entomb Beneath the Sands, but I guess raiding. Just something to not suffer attrition here, while we proceed to Bone Nose's hold. King Fokdem got the... Oh, Tombfleet Taskmaster, nice. He got something. Well, I got distracted. Oh, you got the chariot. No, this is not the chariot army. Yeah, oh, and right, somebody said that Scorpion Joe, I misread it, is actually supposed to be Stinger Joe. Although I don't know, I kind of attached to the name Scorpion Joe now, though there isn't a... Maybe King Fokdem, aka Scorpion Joe, because he has all the scorpions. Alright, I'm tremendously stupid. Anyway, King Wakov, do we actually want to proceed to Galbaraz? It's a big question that I don't want to think about right now, so we'll proceed to fighting these guys with Khalida. I did say this episode was just going to be fights on top of fights. Anyway, Khalida, you have Sunscorched Bones. Oh, right. Which we might actually not get any use out of in this particular army. But we'll see. We could double up on the buffs for the snakes, but it's not going to come in handy here. Melee attack plus 10 for the entire army when in foreign territory is quite nice, though, so I think we will we'll pick that up. You little fella, you have Canopic Jar Hoarder. Let's move through increase mobility at least 1 point. You... You have Arcane Conduit now. I guess we could move towards Keeper of Lore, Disciple of Assyrian. We have the most important stuff. And yes, Incantation of Desiccation is great, too. It's just very expensive. So I think we'll forgo it. Since we're going to be in yellow territory for a while, we might actually benefit more from replenished troops. As an additional points in it, so maybe we'll do that. Anyway, you... I would like to see... Okay, so Khalida, go into Great Dynasty stance. I want to see... Is this drawing on the garrison, or is just this little pathetic army? It's not drawing on the garrison. Okay, so this is pretty pathetic. They have no chance here. This will damage us. Probably severely. But it's just not worth wasting our time with. Let's hope that after the post-battle heal, we'll still have enough to fight. And besides, it might make the next battle worth it. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, we got a garrison and a half an army. And at least these guys have great swords instead of just piles of peasants, you know? Enemy killed in battle. This one will fight. After leveling, of course. Yeah, there we go. Close victory, medium casualties. Much better than whatever it said on low casualties. Alright, so here... buff the snakes. If we get 2 points, we can get regeneration for Khalida. She's already pretty darn strong, but... ooh, more speed out of Graceful Warrior. I like it. I guess she has Graceful Warrior instead of Conqueror like the others do. Wait, do Tomb Kings have Conqueror? Just out of curiosity, what do you guys have? Yeah, you do have Conqueror. Okay. Yeah, I don't know why that was significant. I just saw a difference from the others. You know what, screw it, let's go to Keeper of Lore. We already put 1 point in Replenish Troops, and it's replenishing nicely, I'm sure. You are close to this. Really, it's these we want, but for now, just go for increased mobility. And this one will fight. Yeah. Alright, oops, I forgot that Khalida was over on this side of the map, but what can you do? I guess we missed her speech this time around. Oh, look at all the little necro serpents. Take a look at the sort of different, I guess it's not helmets they have, but faces, just generally speaking. They got some really neat ones, and some very different ones. This one's like a full skull face, and then some of these are just like full helmet faces, or just full like sort of serpent faces, I guess. Yeah, very nice. Look at the little teeth. Anyway, I guess we're going to have to speed it up a little bit while we reposition. There's a big old pile of water here, so we're going to take advantage of it and set up most of our army in it, or at the very least the skeletons, while the units of catapults and range, generally speaking, are on the other side. These guys in the water mostly to bog down enemies, as they do outnumber us pretty significantly, and we don't want them getting to our range units, or specifically our units of artillery. Now we're going to move the units of Chosen of the Gods, Ushabti, forward, and they're going to take a hit or two from the enemy mortar shells, but that's alright. They're merely a distraction. They're at least partially to annoy the enemy, while Khalida moves in with her Venom Knights of Asaph and the other unit of Necropolis Knights. Venom Staff will come in, do about 50% HP damage to a unit of Halberdiers, which is pretty good, but it's time to put our cavalry to work. There we go. And with the halberds facing towards the other unit of knights, we were able to use the others to push through them, and then we'll blob them up together with Khalida and just mow down enemies. I'm sure a decent amount of them will get up, but this was a horrific charge for the enemy to take. And beautiful. And we can't stop moving. Gotta keep snaking our way through. Definitely a very different battle compared to that ambush, as Khalida leads the Necropolis Knights into the field. And the battle has really not even begun, in the sense that our army is still about, I don't know, 3/4 of a map away from the enemy army. After that charge, the enemy has been separated from their artillery pieces, so we're going to stop on by real quick and tear the artillery crew apart. Oh, I do like the Khemri color scheme on the backs of the Necroserpents there. Enemy's going to hit us with a Burning Head, not the most effective spell to use against a pile of Necropolis Knights, I'd wager. And there we go, with that, the artillery pieces are destroyed, and 3 or 4 of those Halberdiers, and they got obliterated by the Necropolis Knights. At least in part due to their poor positioning. If they had been standing still and braced and didn't face the wrong unit, we probably wouldn't have been able to charge through them as easily. But alas, and we're taking full advantage of this, and just gonna keep on going. Another charge to the enemy, gonna try to whittle down the enemy great swords and archers, the more threatening units. And of course, all this time, our Ushabti with great bow have been firing away at the enemy, having racked up about 10,000 damage. Now the enemy is at last in range of our other artillery pieces, as the Screaming Skull catapults and the Casket of Souls rain fire down on the enemy. And now we've got a big old buried bone here. And so far, we've taken effectively no damage on the Necropolis Knights. The unit that has taken damage is the Sacral Serpents, because they have effectively no melee defense. But again, they're just a summoned unit. Oh, they're so tiny. I mean, they're actually not tiny. They're still bigger than a man. They're still like 3 times the size of a person, but compared to the Necropolis Knights. There we go. The glory of Snake Surf and Mummies. And another unit of crossbows starts to meet their maker. The Ushabti with great bow, the Chosen of the Gods, have backed off a little bit more after dishing out another 4,000 damage, and continue kiting the enemy sort of towards our battle line. Gonna get a legionary barrage through the enemy ranks as they move forward. For a little bit of extra damage. Oh wow, our arrow ripped this guy's arm off and he just falls. Otherwise, it looks like the battle is nearly ours. The bounce power is about 90% in our favor. These snakes have been absolute menaces throughout the course of the battle, and Khalida herself has now moved towards the enemy lord. He doesn't care that the piles of great swords are protecting him, I'd wager, and I doubt that he has a chance against her, as even without any real commitment to her fighting tree, she's still at pretty darn strong stat levels. There we go, and that's another hit, taking about 20% of the Lord's HP down. And is that it? No, he's got a couple more hits in him, I think. But it's not like he's getting away. Another burning head comes down. Maybe we should have sent Khalida to take out the Bright Wizard, but it's not like the burning head once again has been a threat to the Necro Serpents. And the Lord can barely get up with being constantly bowled over by Khalida's personal snake. Alright, the gods have indeed abandoned you. Should have prayed to Petra instead. Or SF in this particular case. And oh wow, Khalida pushes the enemy lord into the piles of other serpents, and I believe here he will meet his end. Right, and he just sort of falls over dead, collapses, and with that, the battle is ours. Very, very nice. The enemy didn't even get close to our piles of units here, and that's with just 2 units of Necropolis Knights. Pretty darn devastating, and we got more snakes to come. Alright, there we go. That was absolutely frickin' brutal. The Venom Knights of SF, 727 kills and 88,000 damage. Magical damage and immune to contact effects, Strider, and just generally speaking, the buffs that Khalida gives them, plus that toxic venom of theirs. Absolutely ridiculous. And we can compare them directly to the Necropolis Knights, who they were together with the entire time, but killed like 3 times as much, or more than 3 times as much as they did. Khalida herself, no slouch, at 179 kills, 28,000, nearly 29,000 damage, and of course having defeated the enemy lord in a duel as well. And then beautiful. Occupy the place. Alright, Skeleton Chariot for Inithor. Do you want... Yeah, probably. In this particular army, they'll probably want to be able to keep pace with the... snakes. Maybe not even be near the snakes, but at least be able to get close to them should we need to provide the construct bus. So yes. Alright, and the City of Scholars now acquired, isn't it lovely? We'll go for the Worship of Construction Reduction as we do, and... I mean, we'll probably need to at least somewhat wall the place up. We might, I mean, it'll probably be a little bit while before we can send this other army to go off into the mountains and deal with this, or even cross the mountains and deal with that. There's a lot of stuff to be getting on with here, and we don't have the armies to deal with it. We will want to... Actually, what we really want is the public order here to grow so that we can upgrade this faster, but I just don't think it's going to happen right now. Let's go for the Temple of Tahoth upgrade. We'll get the walls up and running there. Keep the funerary district for now, and let's go for, at least for now, a obelisk here to public orderize. And I guess this should also be replaced in theory, so that we can get the defenses up and running quicker. Also, Khalida, you leveled again. Let's get purified now. Extra campaign movement range and regeneration, always nice. Khalida's pretty monstrous on field, so we're going to have a lot of fun with her army. We will probably go for the Disciples of Sokth in this particular army, again because they're going to be on chariots, but for now, since we have a long way to travel, I guess we'll start with increased mobility. Alright, looks pretty good, and obviously these guys are going to leave the army. It's just that, once again, since we're in a yellow territory, it's taking absolute ages to recruit anything. I'm still kind of on the fence about these lizards. I will... You know what? We'll auto-resolve this one, I think. Wait, are you in... Oh, you couldn't be in the healing stance, so you're probably going to take the turn to heal, but nonetheless, we gotta draw the line somewhere, and this is mostly peasants. Damaged though our army may be, the enemy would have had no real chance here. Occupy. Alright, and Dawnstone, can we turn you into something useful? No, nothing to... yeah. And then for the Tomb Kings, we don't find enough items, and well, maybe we will once we have enough treasure tombs all over the place, but for now we don't, and thus we just need to keep going as we are. What can you do? Let's also level up here, though. Ooh, yes, one last point in 5th Gen Priest. Oh, out of the 2, we gotta get at least the first level of Skullstorm. And then we can get 5th Gen Priest, or max out 5th Gen Priest, I should say. Necrotect, what are we looking at here? You have to be rank 15 to get Master Builder, And you're on foot, right, in this particular army? I mean, yeah, you're probably gonna stick around on foot, meaning you're free to go for Disciple of Wallat rather than Sokth. Alright. And then we'll use the next 2 points to grab Master Builder into one of these, maybe a Bone Giant capacity, since we'll be building less Bone Giant buildings in the other buildings. Anyway, the only guys we have left, other than Scout 2... Oh wait, Scout 2 doesn't need to move. We'll delete him eventually. And Sephrafek, who also doesn't need to move. I was trying to use Sephrafek to reduce the Vampiric Corruption and the Black Pyramid, and it is close to it. If we get another temporary Lich Priest, then we could put one here. We do have a wise one here. If we delete Scout 2, who no longer needs to find anyone up here, I guess we could do that for him. Although there'd be a lower level, but it's not like we are at the Keeper of Lore anyway for either of these guys until we get more techs. I'm just double checking. There's nobody here that we care about allying with, right? Yeah, not to my recollection, so we will just disband you. After, okay, double checking that he has no items. Goodbye, Scout 2, you served us well. Or Scout the 2nd. And we'll get another Temp Scout or Lich Priest here until we pop him into the army. So you, Wise. And go for the Canopic Jar Hoarder, and then, yeah, Cleanse Corruption. Like so, this will get it -2. Alright, it's something. It's something. King Rakash. You will eventually go through these, but it'll be a while. But maybe you should save the points until you have your own army. If you again, this is going to be distributed to various armies. We're not going to put all this in one army because that's obnoxious and ridiculous. Let's see. Walkoff, you're the only one that remains. Well, I guess now we have to make that decision about you. I really want to confed these guys, but I want to do it right. And I don't know if Galbaraz is the right move, but I guess we're going to move there and find out. Pyrrhic victory, you say. Half our army will die. Yeah, they do have regeneration, regenerating Kroxigors, and we're damaged after all. I did contemplate sitting here, but you know what? I think we're not sitting. Walkov doesn't like to sit still. He likes to stab things. Garrison the walls gives us nothing useful. Reanimate gives us something tremendously... Well, actually, no, not really. Well, I mean, yes, useful, but not as useful as Resurrect, which is what we're moving towards. Necrotech. Do you already have Master Bone Sculptor? I guess we could go through Loving Constructs. Oh, wait, actually, no. Necrotechs don't actually buff, and actually they do, the Spectral Stalkers, but they only buff their weapon strength, not their range damage, right? And we have no Heralds that buff the Spectral Stalkers either, which is kind of surprising. You know what, let's maybe go through We Are the Elite first. At least this will buff the entire army. Yeah, it's not by much, but it's something. A Lich Priest, what are you at? You have Keeper of Lore, you have Incantation. Okay, let's go Magical Reserves, and then into Arcane Conduit afterwards. Let's cut down some more lizards, best we can. Alrighty, here we go for Nehekara indeed. We've got the snakes that would be able to easily destroy the tower, but I think they wouldn't be able to easily reach it from here, or maybe they would, I don't know, but I think we're just going to try to bring it down with the units of skeleton horse archers instead. It's going to take a lot longer, admittedly, but the positioning would be better if our snakes are down here, and I don't think we're willing to wait that long. Anyway, we're going to make our way forward into the enemy settlement as the enemy charges towards us with a unit of feral cold ones. Again, as we've seen before, a terrible matchup between them and the sepulchral stalkers, and between the fragility of the cold ones and the anti-large capabilities of the sepulchral stalkers. The enemy just has no chance here. What are our stats at, by the way? Eyes of the Desert are at 56-55 and 50-49 on the regular ones. Pretty solid. And I believe we don't have tech upgrades for them as yet either, so they're gonna get more solid. Alright, we're gonna help him out by bogging down a few of those Coldens. Oh, poor little fella. Bogging them down with a nice little skeleton summon, partially, and partially to get those skeletons in the way of other units charging forward. We're gonna try to establish a beachhead in the enemy settlement as fast as possible as we make our way forward with Tomb Guard and the Sepulchral Stalker alike. The enemy is gonna charge its Kroxigors at these skeletons, but they're just there to waste their time and die, so that hopefully we can activate at least one level of the Realm of Souls. Out here, the tower has at last been brought down by our skeleton horse archers, and unlike Wakoff's army, this particular army, or unlike Hakor's army rather, this particular army has plenty of anti-air to be getting on with, so they should be able to bring down those Pterodon riders without any problem at all. Alright, just a few more Lizardmen fights, I'd wager, in this 2-episode Lizardmen saga, where we've had like a dozen battles against the lizards, will come to an end. As I doubt there will be other lizards that we're going to be fighting later on. Assuming that vassalizing these guys succeeds, we will, I mean, the closest I guess would be Oshiotla down south. I mean, he is kind of near to Kalita, but I'm not sure that we're going to be intent on fighting him so much as maybe trading him a territory and vassalizing him. I keep saying the other one, but anyway. The battle's balance power is at about 70%, maybe 65% in our favor. There's still a fair bit to do here. Trying to work through the enemy platform, but the enemy has sent a unit or two. It's kind of hard to tell in that mass of serpents and lizards. Units of Saurus. And they're just holding our units back from getting to that platform. There are obviously Tomb Guard mixed in here down below these Sepulchral Stalkers, just kind of hard to see. We are in a blob, which is, you know, it's partly beneficial to us as we can keep spamming Neru's Incantation of Protection on everybody, giving the entire blob 40% physical resistance. Then the entire blob, of course, gets the benefit of the Hieroglyphs of Protection aura, 10% ward save, which between the two is going to make things extremely tanky. Could use a little bit more missile resistance, but otherwise we're pretty good here. Besides, this also makes sure, or ensures, I should say, that the enemy units like Kroxigors face towards our Sepulchral Stalker, and thus their backs are ripe for a pin cushioning from our units of Skeleton Horse Archers, who admittedly are starting to run out of ammunition, huh? About 4 minutes of non-stop firing. Alright, fair enough. You know, considering that they have relatively low missile damage, just generally speaking, being basic, super basic units and all that. I wonder if we can get them any more ammunition in any way. I suppose we'll just have to wait and see. For now, though, the Kroxigors are down to about half of their HP. They are regenerating, however, and so are these Kroxigors, and these Saurus as well. Kind of a dangerous place to be. We're, in fact, surrounded by Saurus and Kroxigors, solid units on every side. You don't need anything more than Saurus and Kroxigors to beat a Lizardman campaign. Actually, I'd argue you wouldn't need anything more than Chameleon Skinks and Chameleon Stalkers, but anyway. For now, though, and just going to have to beat these guys down. That said, it will take a while. We're going to try to add as much support from the various units of Skeleton Horse Archers as we can until they're completely out of ammunition. And try to focus this one unit down specifically if we can, partly because it's easier to shoot him in the back, and partly because, again, we need to deliver enough alpha damage to either actually knock out models, since they won't recover, since they only have regeneration, or at the very least shatter the unit so that it can't come back regardless of the regeneration. And for like the 50th time, man, full army regeneration is so dang strong. I guess we could have, in theory, gone and grabbed the Curse of Cannibalism using, well, ideally, if we had found it, using one of our armies by traveling the water, but unlike Lokir's campaign, we don't really have the extra armies to do so. We certainly don't have a million black arcs. Alright, it looks like the Kroxigors are out. They're routing, but they're not shattered, and I want to point out they still have 5 units, even if they have a tiny, tiny sliver of HP, and that HP is actually rising faster than it falls now that the Sepulchral Stalkers aren't hitting him, so I'd wager that these guys will be back. I feel like if these were players' units, they would have shattered. 4 units remaining, tiny sliver of HP, but oh well, if they come back, not much we can do about it. We gotta get rid of this frickin' shooting tower. It's been annoying us the entire time, so we're going to go once again after that platform slash barricade and try to move towards the minor supply location. Probably should have actually split the army into 2, leaving one here portion and then the other down through this just to capture the location. But we did get surrounded by Saurus and Kroxigor, so at that point there was no peeling away. How's that platform looking? About a third of its HP remaining. Another unit of Saurus Spears has arrived, and we are pretty much out of ammo, but still there is a use of the skeleton archers in the sense that the enemy will have to very slowly make their way through them. Admittedly, the skeleton archers do so little damage in melee that even passing through them like this means that the Kroxigors will recover a considerable amount of HP. It looks like this unit's taking a little bit of damage from the... Actually, can't tell who's firing away at them. Ooh, gotta be careful about that. Razor Dons have unfortunately sighted our unit of our Tomb Bark. And all Bark No Bite has dropped down to about 40% of its HP. We need to book it towards not even the capture point, but directly towards those Razor Dons. Razor Gores would be nice as well. But yeah, these guys will do a massive amount of damage if you let them focus you down. 221 missile strength on a 32 unit blob is pretty darn solid, and armor piercing at that. And yeah, look at that, our Tomb Bark down to 20% HP. Maybe I jinxed it when I predicted that because I named the unit that it would be very likely to die. But if it dies, it dies. It's just the fate of the unit. Gonna try to back it off a little bit while we try to tie up a few more units. Fortunately, Razor Dons are very fragile in melee, and the Spokal Stalkers should be able to tear them apart, assuming they stop blocking each other. Alright, but if the enemy wants to fire at the other units, that I'm perfectly content with. Ooh, looks like Walkoff's hunters have been taking some damage from the various chameleon skinks around. But otherwise, the main blob is more or less fine, thanks to the repeated uses of that Jaff's incantation of Cursed Blades and Arrow's incantation of protection. The Cursed Blade's mostly helping out by activating Restless Dead and allowing them to heal up, though admittedly it's really not a lot of healing that you get from the passive. Every unit heals like 100 HP, and admittedly if you're healing like 15 units at once, that's a lot more HP than it is on one individual unit, all told, but overall it's just a tiny trickle that is supposed to be combined with the Realm of Souls, but oh, would you look at that? Maybe we'll actually reach the second level here. We're at 443 out of 500. In the late game, we have a couple of spare armies to just, send a giant pile of basic skeletons at enemies just to activate this once, just for the principle of the thing. Alright, it looks like the Tomb Bark is still kicking. It has actually reached its healing cap and is still dropping in HP. Gotta be careful about that. But at least it is still around. Looks like these skinks are trying to focus it down just as much as the units of Razor Dons were. But those are now out of the picture and have been torn to shreds down to a single unit by the looks of it. I don't even see their sort of escaping a little banner. Alright, well, time to try to save the Bark. We're going to activate a nice Skull Storm in the midst of 2 units of Skink Skirmishers or Chameleon Skinks or whatever they might be. The Sandstorm not a particularly threatening effect to our Spokal Stalkers, which will probably lose 5 to 10% of their HP in trickle damage, but otherwise will simply pass through it to hit the other units of Skinks in the back and pin them against the units of Tomb Guard and other Spokal Stalkers. Alright, and ooh, we got, what, 10%, 5% HP on the Tomb Bark. Walkoff has been dueling the enemy lord in the meantime while the army's been busy, and has clearly defeated the enemy lord while taking only 500 damage. Whereas the enemy lord is pretty much done for. The enemy lord shatters, and while we are not able to activate the the second level of the Realm of Souls, the battle is ours. The Tomb Bark survives, and Walkoff cuts down the enemy lord. Fun little fight. Some solid shots of the Tomb Guard fighting as well. Oh, I was hoping it could go down here. Ooh, alright, there we go. Definitely a toughie in big part because a full army regeneration is such an obnoxious trait or ability or faction thing, I don't know. But damn well makes them hard to take out. It does, I suppose, make sense in the sense that their garrisons are in need of some help, but even without regeneration, their garrisons are still better than ours, so how dare you. Anyway, a lovely fight, and we got, let's see, 31,000 damage on one of the unnamed Sepulchral Stalkers there. All bark no bite took severe damage, unsurprisingly, because I was the one that named that. And Wildcup's Hunters actually did as well. This time it seems that the enemy were focused on bringing down some of our named units. Good for them. Yeah, alrighty, anyway. We will occupy the place, and I take it that takes further lower the chance of confederate or vassalizing these guys. It's up, actually went up to 47. Interesting. Let me just think about this for a second. They have Ogrul, Migdal, and all of these little hill territories. I wonder, how much is Galbaraz worth to you?
If not,
And it's worth nothing to you. I was just wondering whether we could trade these guys, Galbaraz, for vassalage. It would be nice. Maybe if we go this way instead and then take out Fort Topknots, that might enable us to do that. On the other hand, let me just see this. If we do this again, Swamp of Terror. Wait. I assume that Galbaraz is also not worth much to them. 52, yeah, basically nothing. But Swamp of Terror is very much worth a fair bit. This is down to -7, but we can't... okay, and join war against Volkaz? No, you wouldn't do it for 6.5k. I wonder, though, if we give you the money, out of curiosity, this is 5.2. This goes down to 4.3. That's a fair bid. We'd need to give them like 30k for this, huh? Oh, kinda don't like that. I don't like that one bit. Are you able to build a military structure here? Well, get started on it and uncollect the income. It might still be valuable. You know what? Delete the skeletal garrison here. The place might be worth more. In fact, just out of curiosity, it's currently worth... I forgot what it was. Swamp of Terror. 158.7 with the peace treaty. Well, I guess we won't know, but anyway, delete this and then replace it with a military structure, though I fear it'll take a few turns to build. What can you do? At least we have the reduction. In fact, go for public order so that you're maxed out, and then we'll trade it to them. Alright, I guess we won't be piecing out with them this turn, then. Gotta make it happen. But we shall see. I'm actually surprised that they haven't attempted to take Key of Seftu here. They have a lot of armies running around, but, well, we've taken out several of them. Anyway, I think we have nothing else that we need to or can do this turn, so we're finally able to end the turn after all that time. We checked the Necrotect and stuff, so end the turn. Chevalier de Lyonesse will attack somewhere. Idol of Petra. I mean, we'll have to backtrack, but we were expecting this. It's one of the reasons that we weren't super keen on investing in stuff down here. It's all good. It's been a while since we've had one of these. Ooh, 25% campaign movement range. I like that. Character experience gain plus 50%. Not as much as I like that. Alright, Lizard Sacrifice is what it's going to have to be, but let's give this a read. Whilst traversing the jungles on the edge of the world with a view to bringing them within our sphere of influence, our forces have encountered a village of tribal lizardmen. Naturally, they cower and beg for their meager lives. Should we sacrifice them to empower our future? They cower and beg for their lives. That doesn't sound like lizardmen. Maybe they're sort of... disconnected from the other lizards, kind of like the Dragon Isles lizards, but anyway, sacrifice them. All must serve the Tomb Kings one way or another. Spare no expense. Use the lizardmen's flesh and blood to ensure those Tomb Kings yet to awaken do so stronger than ever before. Faction destroyed Crimson Skull. We don't care. Summon lost, summon besieged. Ow, looks like the lizards did attack us, and oh man, you're far away. If you... Okay, wait. If you go into ambush stance, you would not be able to reach it. Alright, so we're just gonna have to go this way. I hope that these guys don't attempt to march this way, where we are, again, poorly defended because our garrisons by themselves especially are kind of trash. But anyway, Patronage of the 5th Dynasty is up and running, meaning we have, what? 2 turns in the Wisdom of the 6th Dynasty. Next, we will raise... I'm going to say... Let's go with Lamazage. Let's go with Lamazage. Lamazage of the 4th Dynasty, which will take this down to 1, after which point we will be able to get him up and running. Panat, you just stay here and see what we can do about this. We're always going to get bogged down in a war with these guys. We have defenses here at the Eyrie of Death, though we would like to build that taxidermist tomb here. And do we need the upgrade here? Maybe, depending on what kind of army comes our way, but let's see what else we've got going on for first. Actually, first. How are you guys doing? 72. Ooh, that's better. Trade. Oh, but now Swamp of Terror is worth less because because we deleted the building. Damn it, lizards. Oh, you got me. Alrighty, well, quickly try to build. I don't know, one of these doesn't really matter. I hope it doesn't matter. You walk off. We're going to grab 4 top knots real quick. Oh, wow. This thing generates a lot of money. The heck? Why do these guys generate so much money here? Oh, maybe it's a green territory for them, whereas... No, they should like swamp, right? They start in a swamp. I would imagine that they like swamp. You're going to proceed down to 4 top knots. Can you auto-resolve this one, though? You cannot. Okay, I might just fight this between the episodes, because I think we've seen enough of these. And we're looking to vassalize the lizards anyway. How much is Galba Reservoir to you now that it's constructed a bit? Still 0.2? Oh, it's not constructed it. Well, darn. I get started on building that. It might be worth something once we are swapping some stuff around. Settra, you are, I take it, not able to immediately reach Karagarud. Very, very close, but just out of the way. Alright, fair enough. Going to raiding, then set up there. Haven't found Kugeth as yet, but it's only a matter of time. Alrighty, whereas Fogtem... Okay, I assume Kugeth isn't at Death Gorge. I would, however, like to see... Okay, we met Katep now. Katep, you have become vassal, you don't have immediate confederation, so we will have to wander over here with Settra and then punch Katep in the face until he's ready to confederate. Just how it works. And what do we have in terms of possible trade agreements? I was hoping Arguelon would be working, but these ones are all ones we're all probably going to attack, so none of those work. Western provinces, I'd really like a defensive alliance with you, but that's not happening yet, is it? Oh well. Not a big deal. Slightly annoying, but not a big deal. We will deal. Alright, and anyway, Hakor, you got besieged and thus took damage. This guy doesn't really have that much of an army, and Pyrrhic victory with half our army lost? Alright, regeneration on everybody. Oh, actually, no. Only when they're in their own territory. Interesting. Okay, well, that should thus not be a problem. Damaged or not. Alright, fighting the Sheldon. Alrighty, here we go. 1, maybe 2 more fights against the lizards to end the lizard saga of this campaign. Let's see what we can do here. Enemy has a nice little balanced army. 5 units of infantry, 5 units of fast movers, i.e. cavalry and war beasts, and 5 monsters as well. In the form of, what was it? Is it an Ark of Sotek, 2 Basties with Solar Engine, and a Bastie with Reviv Crystal? I assume that these particular lizards can only build Bastillodons, or can only recruit Bastillodons out of their particular buildings, but that's all good. And both the Ark of Sotek and the Solar Engine would work nicely for us. Anyway, looks like the Sora Soul Blood is going to engage with the Necrosphinx in the center of this, though we do have to be careful about taking shots from the Solar Engines. Looks like, as usual, they're attempting to focus down the Tombbarks instead. Enemy Blob gets hit with a nasty combination of Skull Storm and Scarab Swarm, or Tomb Swarm, in the center of their formation, forcing 2 of their units of infantry to rout, while a 3rd Skink cohort gets torn to shreds by our Nehekara warriors / Hawk Legion of Settra. Otherwise, both of our units of Screaming Skulls have been trying to focus down this unit, or this Bastie with Solar Engine. It's going to be slow going, but as we've seen in previous campaigns with things like Plague Claw Catapults, they can kill single targets, and it just takes a while. But it's not just, you know, they do deliver enough single point damage, so it's not just, you know, relying on explosive damage. Anyway, looks like we are still in the fight against the Basti with Ark of Sotek with the Necrosphinx, but the enemy lord is sufficiently hurt so as to be no major threat. And over on the left flank, we actually have a fair bit of fighting as well. A unit of Saurus warriors, or spears specifically, moves in together with a unit of Kroxigors to help out one unit of Cold One riders, and one or two units of Cold One, or Feral Cold Ones as well. Technically speaking, the same thing is kind of happening over on the right flank, but a unit of Ushabti and a Nehekaran warriors. Infantry and monstrous infantry with twin blades, fighting together. Should be able to tear through those Cold Ones without too much issue. Alrighty, the bounce power is at about 90, 85 maybe % in our favor. Still got a fair few units to cut through, and wow, it's taking a long time to bring down this Basti with Ark of Sotek here, huh? And it's not healing, so it's out of range of the... What's your melee attack? At 53, this guy's at 31 melee defense. Yeah, why is it taking you so long? Maybe the trees are kind of interfering, as in your... Oh, I know what it is. It's probably Overwhelm, isn't it? No, just Ark of Sotek plus poison, meaning you hit for almost half as much as you normally do. Ah, okay, well that explains that. Ooh, and it's actually pushed itself towards the Basti with Reviv Crystal, who almost looks like he's trying to get towards that Ark of Sotek to help out. Although admittedly the Basti with the Reviv is very much damaged at this point. And the other Basti has actually been brought down by a Screaming Skull catapults, and it looks like at last the Necrosphinx brings down that Ark of Sotek. Damn good job holding the ground against the anti-large Necrosphinx, I gotta say. We've seen the Necrosphinxes tear giants apart like nobody's business, but with that double application of poison and Ark of Sotek, it really slows the enemy down. Oh, those guys would work really well with, with Overwhelm from the, from Necrotex, which would be another massive decrease in armor or in damage. And Tomb Guard with halberds to hold the line. Yeah, if we can get these guys, I got some ideas for an army. I want to see how low we can take an enemy weapon strength. But it'll have to wait. For now, this battle is done. The last of the enemy units on the left flank will shatter. The Kroxigors will run despite still having at least a decent amount of HP remaining, because everybody else was done for. Very nice. A banner of swiftness. There it is at last. We've been waiting all the campaign for this frickin' thing, so I guess it is good that we didn't peace out with the lizards before fighting this. Fantastic. Oh, why were you so difficult to acquire? I am very happy about it, though. Nice battle. Just generally speaking, certainly a lot quicker to cut the enemy down than it was previously when we had to deal with them with the regeneration, but still they gave us a nice fight. They got high veterancy and all. After all, we will continue taking the money because we still need it, and our health is pretty okay, and I don't imagine we'll be able to reach the next settlement in a turn anyway, so endless march please. And let's hunt them down, and oh, we can use the bonus healing from hunting them down, maybe? Although the endless march wouldn't be too bad either way. And whoa. Raiding Kugath, Granite Mass. Oh, you gotta be kidding me, he went around. You piece of Kugath. That is so freaking annoying. Wait, so he is currently here at Granite Massive, meaning he has to go... can he pass through this? Is this a pass? I can't quite tell. Yes, it is. Well, we're not piecing out with him, that's for certain. We don't want to give the Granite Massif up to these guys, as that does nothing for us. This place I wanted to trade to these guys once it's at a higher level, but if he takes it, it's going to sort of screw those plans up. We're just gonna have to deal with it, figure out and see what's happening. Can't believe he decided to go that way after all that time. Anyway, Hakor, go kill Pradat. Oh, like so. Auto-resolve, and oh right, I was gonna... Ooh, I didn't check if the auto-resolve was gonna kill anything. Okay, we're good. Use the Bind Souls to make sure that you heal up to at least as close to full as possible, and then start threatening Volkaz's Roost. Attack minded, sure. What I would like to see We're at 54 now. Ooh, that's nice. That's real nice. 54 while besieging Fort Topknots, eh? I wonder what it will be once we stop besieging Fort Topknots. Will it lower or will it rise? Laneshi giggle. Because at its current rate, with the Swamp of Terror, and become vassal and join war against Volkaz, we are able to do it. We'd be able to pay them... Wait, what? Oh. With the join war against Volkaz, it works already. I am tempted by this, but if this would give us the confederate or vassalization of the elves here, that would work even nicer. Although it would kind of screw up the contiguity of these guys' territory, but we could always possibly trade these territories from them, or possibly even from the elves, depending on what we do with the territory up here. And there will have to be a limit to the territory we take, because vassals will work for Settra. We don't necessarily have to take every single settlement, even though there are benefits to more settlements for us, because there is a limit to the number of canopic jars we can generate. I'd like to get it to the point that we're generating just like 1,000 at least, and just from buildings and characters. And then that should be more than enough to warrant us or allow us to get whatever we want. But until then, we will need to expand. And vassals will also probably speed up the sheer amount of territory being conquered. But anyway, let's see what else we've got. So King Fogdom, you are going to move to Bone Nose's Hold. I guess that hasn't changed. I guess if we grab Karagorud with Settra real quick, we could book it on back that way, while King Fogdom goes here, like this. We just have to assume that there isn't an army somewhere around here. Man, Psalmtek, I can't believe you didn't find Kugath after all that searching. You, go to Bone Noses, please. What do we have in terms of defenses there? We've got a Pyrrhic victory for fighting this garbage. Okay. Maybe we just need more points in some of this stuff, and that'll enable us to not get screwed over by the auto-resolve. You will get, I think, Worship of Petra, the Great Father, for the additional Tomb Guard melee defense. That might help with the auto-resolving. Something here would as well, wouldn't it? The missile and weapon damage when attacking, but let's also get Sun-Scorched Bones. Hopefully that will be sufficient. There's obviously other worship that would work here, but this is a decent amount. I mean, these guys are up to 81 melee defense. They can certainly hold ground, if nothing else. Necrotect, you are going through the Scorpion Sting and Gargantuan Guardians shortly. Lich Priest, you are trying to get towards Skullstorm, which we'll need for further fighting Kugath, so grab Nerus. Alright, anything else we wanted to do with you? You want to get the Scorpion Herald eventually, which you don't have as yet, but that'll happen. Alright, let's just risk auto-resolving this, because it's a silly waste of time. Wow. And another Extinguished Phoenix Pinion. We keep getting these. What if we could trade them all to the elves and get the Summer Sea's Plague, yeah, and get that vassalage. But anyway, Bone Nose's Hold, don't collect the income. Hold on to the Regnant Catacombs for now and build the obelisk for the public order, which we need. Wait. Oh, we're lowering, eh? This is corruption will not increase, but it won't help it to decrease. Otherwise, it would have been nice to do at the Black Pyramid. Frankly, we only get the Black Pyramid down to 0 one time, and then just keep Scholarly Purity there. It'll just keep the corruption at 0 at all times. Frankly, I should have just popped that off as soon as we captured the place, because we hadn't yet constructed the Black Pyramid, which meant it was at 0. But it would have been 500 canopic jars in the early game every 5 turns, which admittedly is also a fair bit. King Thotep, you are continuing on. You have to deliver these 2 to Settra. You know, let's name them while we're here, just so we know who's earmarked for who. You will be the first Legion of Khemri, and you will be the Imperishable Guard. And what else? I think there were 3 units. Oh, I think it was the War Sphinx in this army that was going to go to Settra as well. You can be Sekhmetra. Like so. Alright, so you guys are going for Settra's army. Now, Settra is out of Tomb Guard that need to be named, because his all have names. Tomb Watchers, Loyal Bones, Map Protectors, and Sons of Horus. Meaning we could name... we could name these, but I don't know if we're keeping those. Who has Tomb Guard that we're definitely keeping? You do. can name some of these guys. Maybe that'll make them perform a little bit better in these with these freaking auto results. Let's see. You can be Settra's Chosen. I like so. You can be Revenants of Gold Dust. I like it. That's a nice name. And let's see what else we have here. Honored Guard. And lastly, does serve Settra. Lovely. Alright, I just wanted to get a few of those in there. Anyway, let us see what else we've got. So Thutta, back to you, Kent. Keep going through the Bronze Gate, try not to pick up a plague, but not much we could do about it. Khalida, you are able to reach really Barras Road. So keep on going. Do we have an army there? We do. And it's that Dagobert Roxburger that we had to kill for the Cathans. We're just going to auto-resolve this because it's a hilarious waste of time. Occupy. And collect income. Keep these buildings here until we're ready. Ooh, 6 watch forts will be a green territory at last, which will make it easier to grab territory down here. Or grab territory to... Well, it will, in a roundabout way, make it easier to grab territory. It will allow us to recruit faster. Which is coming. And then, oh, you two. Do you want to just follow Khalida? You're pretty quick. We'll probably meet her at Shanadar, so go here and go here. Did I do the Necrotech check this turn? I did not, or else I would have deleted the intelligent one. Or the frenetic one. Why can't we get the one I want? We saw it one time. One frickin' time at the very start of the campaign, and it's just not happening. That's tremendously bad luck. I'm going to try to... well, I mean, we gave the other guy the temporary Necrotect, so we still have that to call upon, but yeah, no. And principle of the thing and all that. Sephiroth, you are fine. Who are you? Nibim Kurt? Oh, you two are just sitting here, you're fine. We're going to scout the first, though. Go find Lorelorn, maybe we can be friendly with them. These elves are trading with us and should be reasonably happy with us. After a while of trading, I'm sure they'll be happier. All the Imperials don't like us very much, but, well, that's just the anti-undead thing talking. I'm kind of tempted to fight this right now to see whether we can make the vassalage just happen right now. It would be nice. Granted, these guys would retain the hills here, but it's not that big of a deal. The only other issue is that we'd want to grab Volkaz Roost, but I'm hoping that we could just trade them the Galbaraz for it. Because it would complete our territory. As to whether that would actually be possible remains to be seen, but we also have the Marshes of Madness to potentially trade, so there's a lot of, stuff going around. Anyway, we'll deal with that possibly in a second. I would like to see what's going on here. So, Great Pyramid of Settra. This does offer us an additional... Bone Giant capacity, but it's not worth building right now. The Grand Pyramid probably is... Ooh, wait. Numos, are you ready? Yes, you are. You are ready. Now let us build the Pyramid of... Wow. Well, at least it only takes one turn to build it. This guy was supposed to actually stop here and build the Sphinx Legion, but we could always have somebody else do it. You are the Sphinx Lord. Yes, yeah, you're on a Sphinx. Alright, well, either way, let's build this. It'll give us additional capacity and glorious charge for all skeleton chariots. And there goes most of our cash. Since the public order is now good, we no longer need the obelisk here and can replace it with something else. Beautiful. 2 more to go. Great Pyramid of Settra. What do we have here? We will want the Hidden Sanctum. I guess we could just build it immediately. And then we will want to... Yeah, just upgrade the Grand Pyramid. Screw it, just do it. Screw it, just do it. We will frankly want either the Grand Pyramid or the Hidden Sanctum or the Eternal Sentinels here as well, depending. The Tier 5 would at least give us the capacities for the higher tier units. Springs of Eternal Life, we could pop up the Restored Tomb, and that's probably a good use of our time. The Royal Burial Chambers are pretty much always good uses of our time, and darn, still pretty expensive. Really banking on that reduction coming in eventually. And then I guess we'll wait on one of you two. Well, I mean, we could build one, either way. I'll say you. Alright. And then, ooh, Palace of Dusk. Yes, get you up to Tier 4. That'll enable us to build another one of those things. And here I wanted the Treasure Tomb, which we now no longer have the money for, because of course we don't. Alright, fair enough. Here, money. And I guess we'll want the Pyramidion here, which we have just enough for. Beautiful. That means we can get rid of you. Public order will start dropping, but it'll It'll be okay. This will get the public order +1 again, and that's only happening in 2 turns. And we should be keeping roughly ahead of it. Oh, we did use all of our money, so well, okay, let's find out if this changes. Do we... Alright, you know what? I'm just going to manually fight this really, really quick. Because, look, this is a silly battle. It's a guaranteed win. The enemy might have regeneration, but they don't have a lot of troops. So let's just fight it. I want to see if we can't get that confederation to happen right now. Not confederation, vassalage. Bleh. We killed Nakai and stole his vassal. This is... it's so mean. It's just so mean. Alright, now we don't have an easy way to bring down towers here, and they'll probably have one here, which is going to be kind of annoying, but, well, what can you do? Alrighty, let's start deployment. Everybody go out here. Wait, are we on the right side? Where are we here? Where do we want to be deployed? We want to be deployed here. Okay, so, let's do this. You, forward. We'll go snakes, 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 and... oh. Actually, you should be here, 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 and here. And you know what? You can stay in reserve and we'll send you where you're needed the most, as in where the enemy is concentrated the most. Tomb Guard, 1, 2. You can proceed where you're needed. And then you can proceed where you're needed, and then you two can go with these two. Just want to spread the enemy out much as we can. Alright, and then you guys are going to deploy all right here. Turn off your skirmish mode, maybe get a little bit closer with some of you. Walk off, you're going to deploy where the enemy is most concentrated. Same with you, Mage. Let's make you Group 1 and Group 2. You need to buff the snakes. Alright, and I think that's everybody. Yes, yes, alright. So let's see where the enemy is deployed. Oh, I wonder how well these guys can destroy towers. I've never tried. Find out. Oh! Very, very well. Oh, wow, they are 10 times faster at it than the skeleton horse archers are. Okay, well, I guess it was my mistake to even try to use the skeleton horse archers for that purpose. There we go. Tower already down. Isn't it a beautiful sight? Alright, you go here. You can buff up the snake now as well. We will want to charge that unit of Razor Dons. In fact, we'll want to do it immediately because they will vastly... well, I mean, not vastly, but they will certainly dish out a ton of damage. I was going to say vastly out damages, but that's not really true. But anyway. You guys forward? You guys forward, walk off. I'm gonna send you just forward here. I don't know where the enemy lord is now, so don't know if there is one, so... I think there's more enemies up here, though. Let's move. Alright, I want to summon a pile of garbage on top of the enemy. And there we go, the enemy will charge forth. That works nicely for us. Walk off, you're going forward as well. Might as well get the heal on cooldown. Alright, Necrotect. Go here and buff up the Spokeful Stalkers. Oh, you should also buff up the Eyes of the Desert. Eyes of the Desert, charge forward. You guys can sit back here and then fire into the sides of those. Tombbark, you can proceed to help out like so. And you guys can go this way. Alright, Necrotect, did I get the Eyes of the Desert? I did not. Alright, Eyes of the Desert, where are you? Here. Lovely, and then you got one. You guys, I guess, can start moving in since the enemy has not really got anything, and you can go and attack that while you block off the enemy. Alright, walk up, debuff the enemy with a nice, stunning. Oh, it's the garbage units, that's fine. Yeah, debuff the enemy. You guys get buffed up with a Narrows. Let's go a non-overcast, maybe on these guys. Might do damage, but... also wait a little bit. Alright, looking okay. You, go and restore these snakes. Anybody damaged? Oh, okay, back off a little bit. The croc scores are starting to dish it out to you. And you, take their place. You, swap. Alright, now you, I would like you to... they keep moving around as soon as I want to cast that Sekhmet. Pretty good. AI is certainly sensing what I'm intending to do there, but anyway, just do it. Are they going to move immediately? But actually, if they move forward, that works for us as well. Do something. It's obviously not an effective ability to use against them, but that's fine here. Alright, you guys go after the enemy here. How's that tower doing? It's still around, but probably not for much longer. You guys stick around here. You block it off. Although these are skink skirmishers, so they're not a real threat to you. And you, Necrotech, join the fray here. Walk off. You're doing pretty okay. You guys, gotta fire at something. How are you guys doing? Croxagor's still kicking, but hopefully not for much longer, and we should be able to speed the matter up. Yeah, the enemy does have that regeneration, but hopefully we'll be able to deal with it. Just gotta overcome it. Alright, you guys back up, please. You get into a bit of a range shootout with those King Skirmishers. Should be just fine. You guys actually position yourselves here so you can fire into the backs of those Kroxigors. You guys fire into the backs of these Saurus. And you guys go here and fire into the back of those Kroxis. Walk up, take care of that Bastillodon with the Reviv Crystal. It's going to make things slower. You guys reposition. Here we are relatively okay. These Kroxigors are still in the fight. Let's do a buff on everybody here. These Tomb Guard are starting to take a little bit of damage. Frankly, we should get Walk Off over there to resurrect. So let's do one more resurrect here on everybody. Once this portion of our units have defeated the enemy, then it'll be good. Alright, you guys fire into those Kroxigors. Alrighty, working decently well. These guys are nearly out. Let's go for Bleedification on this unit of Skeleton Warriors. They will die anyway, but that's, well, that's what they're here for. And the cult can put them back together. Alright, nearly there. I'd love to just zoom down on the enemy, but I can't quite risk it. Alright, you know what? Let's do a Skullstorm here. Let's see if it moves towards us. If it does, we'll just back off. But at least it might help a little bit with the damage here. Gotta overcome that regeneration once again. It's not the most effective thing to be using against the Razordons, but they're also quite fragile, so it's not the worst either. It's something. Alright, you're good. You're good. The King Skirmishers are there. Alright, charge these guys. Alright, you're nearly done. Kill that Reviv and walk off. Start moving this way. Alright, looks like the Skullstorm is fine. You guys, have you nearly defeated the units of Kroxigors? Nearly, but you need to actually make sure that they're shattered, otherwise they'll come back thanks to the regen. You guys are pretty severely beat up, so let's back you off now. And you guys are as well. Alright. And walk off. Oh, it looks like you're wanting to go around. Wouldn't be faster to go around like this. Okay, so walk off, you go here. Let us move the archers, I guess. You can go here, and you can go here. The two damaged units can block off this area. And we'll have the snakes gun down the Kroxigors, and then these snakes run down the enemy here. You can once again physically resist everything. Tombbark, you... Okay, these guys shattered now. Still broken. Alright. Leave the snakes to it. Chase everybody else. Again, it's going to take a while because we have the... Yeah, see? The Kroxigor... One Kroxigor will come back. What is this? How much HP do you even have? Well, it's rising because of the regen, but still. It's the principle of the thing. And there we go. We got the enemy charging in. We got to move away from the Saurus Warriors, like so. And snakes, you are going to chase the Saurus unit until it shatters. Okay, the Kroxigor is done for now. Let's give the Jeff's Incantation of Curse Blades to... I don't know, it doesn't really matter, one of these units. And are you shattered yet? Still no. Alright, you guys go after all this. There we go, now they're gone. Alright, give it a charge, walk up, get ready to pop off or reanimate. Ooh, these Tomb Guard are in trouble. Let's back them off. You move forward, apply that Overwhelm. You reposition yourselves up here, and oh, their enemy are actually firing back. Good for them. Alright, Tomb Guard in place. You, still in the midst of the chase. And you, going to go and join the fray against the Saurus Warriors. Are you guys engaged in melee? Just back away. It looks like you're not firing away, but I need you to. Alright, there we go. Good. Good. Give chase to the Saurus Spears. This unit of snakes is pretty damaged now. Let's back it off. Before it takes further damage, let's debuff the enemy and reanimate. Could have probably reanimated those guys as well, but the battle is nearly done, and if the Confederation or Vassalage works out here, then that won't matter at all. And it'll be a green territory for the lizards, assuming we trade it back to them, so everything will hopefully work out. Alrighty. Nearly there. It's gotta be like their last unit, right? Alright, good. And yeah, nobody wants to shatter. Broken and terrified, but not shattered. Now we'll need to charge into the rear line of these guys, and well, we needed to in theory. Now there's only one enemy remaining, which is fine. Snakes, you sit back there. Don't bother wading into the melee. You Saurus Warriors will shatter. And I believe we're just about there. Now we're ready to speed it up to max and carry the day? Carry the day? Come on. Who's still a kicking? Oh, it's these guys. Just charge them. They should immediately shatter, right? Yes, they should, because everybody else was done. Alright, lovely. Alright, a little bit of damage. Nearly activated the second level of the Realm of Souls. Still, turn 60, what, 4? Still haven't managed to get a single Realm of Souls Tier 3 up and running. Yeah, it's definitely taken the sort of, it's definitely taken the position of the murderous mastery for the Dark Elves. You were never able to get a good use out of it back in the day before the sort of slave sacrifice ability was added. Battles would be over before it actually activated. Now you can activate it more or less at will. The Tomb Kings kind of desperately need it. I mean, and I understand that the mages are capable of doing it just by virtue of, you know, summoning piles of skeletons, but then you're kind of pigeonholed into spamming mages. And one isn't anywhere near enough, you need two. But I digress. Anyway, wanted to take this 120 casualties, yeah, about 10%'s not too bad. Occupy. Alright, now, let's see what that did to these guys in terms of the 57. Was it at 57 before? Guess we're about to find out. We will do this. Then, how many stacks do these guys have here? Watch them immediately hit Shrunken Head Idols, but whatever. We will give you the Swamp of Terror, and we will Vassal. Then we will join war against the Volkaz. Yes. We will do this. Yes, we technically, theoretically want Volkaz Roost here as well, but we can trade them another swamp territory for it. Because there's no guarantee that this will be as easy to do next turn as it is this turn. Hey, 5,000 gold? Do we actually maybe want them to keep their gold? So that they can survive? I don't want to be sort of policing their territory, especially since we're at war with a lot of other factions. Yeah, you know what? Keep your gold just in case. Peace treaty. Become vassal. Join war. Perfect. Let's see what they've got. Okay, so yeah, we can obviously give them Blood Fen once we're here. Yeah, it looks like they're sort of sticking around in these cliffs. Lovely. And now this guy doesn't like us so much because we presumably forced... Yeah, these guys used to be friends, but now they broke their treaties since they became our vassals. I really think that shouldn't count as a broken treaty, you know? It's kind of... Or at least you should be given the option to allow them to maintain their relationships that are like non-aggression pacts or whatever. Because it's kind of ridiculous that you break your relationship with your allies by virtue of being friends with the guys that you vassalize. This is, I don't like it. Anyway, the minus 118 isn't working for me as yet, but for top knots, how much is it worth to you?
I promise no more.
35. Alright, not a lot, but I think it'll eventually be worth a decent amount. So let's start building military... Well, actually, wait. It's a green territory, you can collect the income. Well, let's go for growth first, we need to build it up. And then Galbaraz, we will hopefully be able to trade to these guys for Volkaz Roost as soon as we're ready. They probably won't do it immediately. 42 for Galbaraz. It's not worth anything as yet, but we'll see, we'll see. What's a climate here like for you? Oh, these guys don't have a climate, so everything should be equal in theory with them. Anyway, since these guys are now our vassals, you can move on down here. And our tribute has moved up to 2.3k, actually pretty solid. Yeah, these guys do seem to generate a decent amount of cash out of their territories. Ain't so bad. 575 for basic territories and 1,000 whatever for main settlements. Anyway, guys, with that, we're very much out of time. I was actually planning to end it earlier, but, well, this had to be done. I think I might end the turn between the episodes and deal with a little bit of the admin, just to etc, etc. So anyway, next time we come back, the hunt for Kugath continues, but his territories dwindle. We'll catch him eventually, and then allow Settra to move northward to Confederate Kotep by punching him in the face. Otherwise, oh. This is a Kugath territory. You know what? Maybe temporarily we'll send King Thutep up here to deal with it, because somebody has to, right? I mean, I guess this guy could go there as well. And if Settra is going back this way, you'd be taking your time to catch him. This would, in theory, also allow us, if we wanted to, unlock or recruit the Sphinx Legion of Numas. But anyway, that'll all be for next time. The war with the Tzeentchians and the Bretonnians to the south continues, and we haven't yet caught sight of Ponce, and I'm sure that'll be fun. We also have plenty of fighting to do down here with Khalida, while we recruit the second army down here, which we desperately need, and also, obviously, to give her more snakes. Stay tuned for more Settra. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below, especially the threshold for the longer episodes and campaign length. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.